Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome. You have arrived to the conversation that'll end all conversations. The SoulCast with your host, Woody Wood. And now, without further ado, let's get in that crazy head. Here's your host, Woody Wood. Yeah. That's what's up.
I like that track.
Yeah, man, that's crazy too, because like I was telling you earlier, we already started this conversation, ladies and gentlemen, and I would like to let you know that this is a new podcast, and I'm going to say this the first go around. I'm not going to repeat it every show, but this is good. It's going to contain adult content, and we're going to talk about stuff, and we might use little words that you might not want to have the kids listen to, so be advised.
Woody love the kids.
Woody love the kids. No, but we were talking about that track earlier, and yeah, I wrote that a couple of years ago, and Morgan helped me with it, and then it just turned out to be right for the show. So I'm really excited. Today, my guest is Coco Rubio.
Buenos dias.
See. Now, I've known you for a while. We friendly, and we've done a lot of business together, and they call you the local musician's friend.
Oh, that's nice. That's the ultimate
did you know
compliment.
That?
No, that's great. I like that. That's awesome.
Yeah, you're the local musician's friend, and better friend we couldn't have. Now,
thank you.
I wanted to start with, the timing, because whenever you had the skate shop on 8th Street, and then you found the...
you're going way back to the skate shop, Ray Gun.
Right, and then you also, you taught, didn't you? You taught Spanish for a while?
I taught Spanish, Evans High School, from 90 to 95.
Right on.
And during that time, my brother DDA and Jeff Thomas and Brian Brownlee had Ray Gun down on 8th Street, which was a skateboard shop, little coffee house in the back.
Yeah, I remember a lot of people used to hang out down there too.
Yeah, it was really kind of, it was cool, and it kind of brought people downtown, and
at that time there wasn't nothing down here.
There wasn't really.
It was like a ghost town.
Yeah,
I mean, during the day there was, the businesses had a few businesses down here, but for the most part there weren't much nightlife. You had Joe's Underground, you had Fox's Lair.
Yep.
And that's about it.
And so I was teaching during that time at Evans, but in '95, I was gonna go. I took a year. I was gonna take a year off, and
you were gonna get your master's, though.
Gonna work on that. Yeah, I was gonna try to go to school and go back and teach. with a master's degree, make more money with the master's degree. Right. It's actually a nice jump. And but that's when we saw the building on 984 Broad Street, and that's where the Soul Bar is. And Historic Augusta owned the building, and we talked to them, and it was a really just good deal, cheap rent to get it with an option to buy the building. So we did that, and it was almost like it brought what we had at Ray Gun onto Broad Street, and then what we had going on at Squeaky's Tip Top. Which was our bar.
Yeah. You used to DJ there.
Yeah, we used to.
It would be so packed that it would be sweaty, messy
so
people.
Small, Yeah, but that was late '80s, early '90s, and so it kind of brought Squeaky's and Ray Gun together, and to me that kind of was the Soul Bar vibe,
Right.
And it was really cool when we did that, and it kind of kicked off, I think, like the revitalization of downtown Augusta entertainment,
right.
And after us, Nacho Mama's opened up.
Did you know Matt personally before he opened up?
Oh, yeah. We've been friends, for years, before that and stuff. And we've always just, we would sit around and talk, and, it's like, man, we need to, it'd be nice if Augusta had something like how it is in other towns, because we would be going to Athens to see shows, hanging out, and it's like, man, why can't we do this in Augusta? It'd be cool if we could do it. So we kind of decided just to kind of quit talking about it, and maybe we can do something, So we kind of decided, let's go all in, and we got the Soul Bar building. They got Nacho Mama's a couple doors down, and we opened up in October of '95, and they opened up, it was like January of '96, So, and then it just kind of fed off each other, and it was kind of nice to see people coming downtown at night that just it was deserted, before, and. After that, pizza joint.
Yeah.
Michael and Roscoe opened up down the street.
Well, I'm definitely glad that y'all didn't just keep talking.
You know what I'm saying? A lot of people talk, and rarely do people walk. So I appreciate that y'all did that. And also the concept for the Soul Bar and the concept for Nacho Mama's, genius. I'm telling you, it's just genius, right? I eat probably about 7-8 times a week at Nachos just because I just love going there.
Well, that was from our, going up to Athens a lot. There was a place we used to go to called Frijoleros. And Frijoleros, you would go up and order, and they'd make you a burrito.
Back when Athens was non-corporate.
It was. There wasn't right. Like it is. There's a lot of corporate places, businesses downtown. The taco stand, the other place. So you had taco stand and Frijoleros. We'd go there a lot, and so Barry and Matt, they kind of knew, because they were more foodies. They were into the food industry.
Yeah.
Like, man, we could do this, and it would be good. We need this in Augusta, and for us, it was like, we need a place where, we could bring just play different, all kinds of music and have a good atmosphere. But it was really, we wanted to honor James Brown, the godfather of soul.
Exactly.
We thought Augusta, Georgia needed, a soul bar,
Right,
so we said, let's call this the Soul Bar and, kind of do it how Squeaky's was, but also the vibe from Ray Gun and just kind of mix it up, play all kinds of music. And
so did the historic committee say that you had to leave the storefront the way that it was, or did you choose to do that?
We decided to leave it. I mean, there are some things you have to do, we can't add anything, really to that. But we kind of wanted to keep the original storefront and just keep it. And
I think it had a drop ceiling in it whenever you first saw it.
It did. It was a pawn shop, and we took the drop ceiling out and exposed the roof, the ceiling, which is that tin ceiling,
which is so awesome.
Yeah. Well, that's when we knew. We were like, wow, we need to completely gut it out, and expose the high 20-foot ceilings, and
right.
It has the skylights up there, and those were covered, and we have lights inside them. That's the red lights that blow up top,
and it makes for a crazy sound in there too.
It's interesting how it sounds, and we've always it sounds good, and even when we have bands there, it's kind of a different, unique setup. But it sounds good. I think it's the wood floors, the high ceilings,
and then the stage being set up where it's bouncing off that wall.
It's great.
I've been there a few nights where it's just been like people's crawling up the walls because it's just like it sounds so good in there. I saw what was Afro Man, the Afro Man show. It was a crazy show.
Yeah.
And I think he sold the double deuces, the Colt 45.
Yeah. I don't know if we still do, but I know we used to. And 40s.
They were holding them up.
Yeah.
That was fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, speaking of good shows, I know that you did the Disco Hell. You started that over at Squeaky's, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, did Disco Hell give you the idea for 80s Night?
Kind of, sort of. Disco Hell for me at when I did it at Squeaky's, and it was playing a lot of old funk, old disco, old hip hop, but I would always play some new music, but as long as it was dance, and it was like you were at the disco, dancing to dance music.
Right,
was really the thing. It didn't have to be just 70s music, But I had a friend, Tom Huffstetler, we call him T Huff, and he was funny because he was like, you should do an 80s night, and just play, different stuff from the 80s, but he really liked stuff like New Order and and said that, you should, the Smiths, some stuff
instead of the dancey stuff,
instead of the more poppy, more that, which, because that's what we liked in college, and and I was like, yeah, that's cool. I mean, we like that music a lot, and the younger generation, it's like they were born, that's the decade they remember music, I mean, I remember music from the 70s as my first memory because I was born in 67. I'm 46 years old. But I think that, the when I started doing 80s night, it just clicked with the people in their 20s, because that was like their that's the music they remember first hearing on the radio, and
exactly.
So it was really fun to just work on a good playlist, of music from the 80s and stuff, and the variety is there, where you can play new wave kind of stuff, also, 80s hip hop, I'll play 80s hair metal, and it all works, when you hear it all together, and it's fun to just mix it up, and a lot of one-hit wonders and those video bands and stuff. So 80s, it's a fun night to spend. I really enjoy doing it, just because there's so much music to play, and we do it on First Friday at Sky City. And it's always, one of the, best nights, the month, the busiest nights of the month. And then on the second Friday, I do it at Soul Bar. And it's just, it's a good night there too, it's just.
Yeah, I think it's a genius concept too, because every time, sometimes,
I've seen you dancing to the Talking Heads when I play that.
What's funny is like, sometimes I'll have a few drinks, ladies and gentlemen, you understand, and I'll get all hype, and I'll go to 80s night, and somebody will drag me out, because I'm like, 80s music, whatever, but then whenever I get there, I have so much fucking fun that I'm like, damn. Yeah. I'm gonna dance on this here bench and hope it don't break. And
I've seen you. Yeah.
Well, usually it's like Woody Wood on the dance floor. And
well, you really get into it when you're dancing, so it's kind of like it's cool to see, people.
Well, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So, yeah, I'm just feeling it.
That's good. And that's it.
Which goes back to what we were talking about. Now, that's why I kind of paid tribute to JB as well, calling this the SoulCast.
Excellent.
Because
that's awesome.
Whenever I was a kid, man. I would finish watching Saturday morning cartoons, and my dad would turn on, Soul Train would come on after that.
Uh-huh.
And so my dad would turn on the stereo, put his vinyl on, and he had tons of vinyl. And he used to listen to, James Brown and Marvin Gaye and all those guys, and Al Green a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And he would turn down the volume on the TV, and we'd watch the people dance while we're listening to the vinyl.
Awesome.
Yeah. And so, like, I fell in love with James Brown at an early age.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh my God, how do they do that?
Right,
I used to ask him,
cool.
like, because I thought music was magic, and I still do.
Yeah.
And I wanted to know how he did that. Now, a while back we had Dave Chappelle here.
That was a good show.
Yeah.
I was there. And you were there. That was awesome.
He said, to quote him, he said, Augusta's the whitest place in the world because of the Masters, and it's the blackest place in the world because of James Brown.
Yeah.
And I was like, I never thought about that before. That's some crazy stuff.
How true, right?
Yeah,
how true.
Because they did fight on the 9th Street being changed to James Brown. They did fight on the arena getting changed to James Brown.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm like, it's so weird. I mean, everybody has their faults.
Hey.
But hey, you can't judge a person on just their mistakes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, he contributed a lot to the music, I think.
Oh yeah, and as an artist, there's you can't deny the genius of
his impact
of James Brown.
is just
worldwide.
It's across the board.
Yeah, universal for sure.
It's like he's like the Bob Marley of soul music. It's like goes everywhere around the world, right?
Yeah.
And
there was no hesitation for us to call it the Soul Bar. That's what we had to do it. We knew, and and even everything behind the bar, we try to put up the James Brown memorabilia and stuff, and he came in, and we tripped out.
Yeah, I've heard a couple of stories about him.
He came in several times, but the first time he came in, Keith called and said, "Hey, Mr. Brown's going to come down. We're going to bring him out. Check out the spot."
Right on.
So they pulled up, and he came in and he checked it out. He had his crew with him, played some pool. He wanted some champagne.
Oh.
So we had to go down the street and get some champagne and bring us some champagne so he could play pool. He was a good pool player.
Oh, really?
He could break, and he was awesome. I mean, he was running the table. He was a player.
I think he was underestimated by a lot of people.
He was a bad, he was tough. He was really cool. And the people that were there, some of the bartenders were talking to him and just kind of talking music about, some of his stuff, and just telling how much, they admired him, respect him, and just I told him, we did this out of complete respect and love, and he said, "Y'all know what's up." That's what he said. "Y'all know what's up."
That's what's up.
And it was so cool, and he kind of was like, kind of gave us his blessing in a way, and he just I think appreciated that we were true fans, and just wanted to honor him in any way, And I'm so glad that James Brown Arena got changed, the James Brown Boulevard and stuff, and because
the statue.
It's cool.
Although I do think it's awful funny that he's facing Oglethorpe.
Yeah, they're both James. James and James.
So, but
all the bands love to go down there. They went down last night. After sound check. We're gonna go down to the James Brown statue.
A lot of them go down.
Oh yeah,
take the pic with them. Yeah, that's cool.
They have to.
And it's crazy to me, like when I'm out of town, like I've been to New Orleans a couple of times during Halloween, for instance, and I'll see a lot of James Browns out there. I'm wow. And then like one time I saw this big purple caddy. It had sparklies all over it. It's going down Bourbon Street, and he's got all 4 windows down, and he is blaring James Brown. And I'm like, that's my hometown, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I love New Orleans. It's one of my favorite cities in the world.
Oh, I got in trouble last time I was there. I got really, really drunk, and I got kicked out of town pretty much. Wow. I had to drive 20 hours straight to Albuquerque, New Mexico to get away from it.
Yeah, that's cool. It's a fun city. We went, a little family trip, and had fun. Maya really liked it, and it was good for her to see, just all that. Yeah. New Orleans flavor.
How old is Maya now?
She's 15, 9th grade, Davidson.
That's crazy. Time flies.
Dude. She's 15. Yeah.
Mine's 16.
Yeah.
So he's driving and stuff. And I'm like, you're driving where now?
Oh, I know. She's talking about that too. And it's like, what? Okay.
Well, I got him on I-20, right? and we were riding down the road. And I didn't realize after we get off, he did really good. We even pulled over and helped the lady change her tire because it blew out right in front of us.
Yeah, nice.
And so he stopped good, and he backed up on the median good. And then when we got off the I-20. We stopped at the first red light, and he goes, "Dad, I-20, not so tough." And I was like, "It was your first time?" He's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "You did good. You wasn't even. I didn't even know."
Cool. Yeah.
So it's crazy when they grow up like that, though. Yeah. Man.
Where does he go to school?
He goes to Thompson.
Okay.
Thompson up there. He's a bulldog. Mm-hmm. He's playing the footballs and all that stuff.
Yeah,
he hunts. He's. I never was a hunter. It's hard for me to kill things and not feel awful about it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I shot a scriquirrel one time and I cried.
And
I was like, "Why did I do that? What's wrong with me?" And then my neighbor killed a frog one time, and I cried too. I was like, "Wow, what's wrong with you?" I wasn't his friend anymore.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Does he do music? Is he more sports and hunting?
He's interested in playing music. He's got a bass that my cousin Judge, that plays lead in my band.
Yeah.
He builds guitars. He's luthier.
Okay.
And he built him a bass.
That's cool.
So he's been learning on it and everything. But right now, 15 years old, and he's a really popular kid, and he's kind of a leader in his group and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So he's
got a car. And he's driving.
It's kind of like social time now, know. So sitting in the room and strudging over a bass is probably not the most appealing thing at this particular moment.
That's funny.
But for me, it was different because my parents lived way out in the middle of nowhere, and so whenever they gave me the guitar, I was like, well, I could do this.
You could do this. Yeah. That's cool.
What about you? Whenever you like, I know that we're avid music lovers, and that's what's awesome about anybody that I talk to.
Yeah.
What about music for you, like, caught you when I'm like, what's the first moment that you can remember that you were like, that's awesome, I want to do that?
Well, I don't know. It's interesting that both my parents have no musical background at all.
Right.
Really. But they put me and my older brother, in piano classes when we were like, kindergarten. And we did that. And I remember there was that interest, when both of us, just music. And it just kind of continued as we were growing up. We took violin lessons and did that in elementary school, and middle school, I just kind of didn't want to play violin. It wasn't as cool as playing the drums or something.
Yeah.
So I was in the band, in high school, and played the drums and really liked that. And then, in high school, kind of doing the garage band. Get some friends in the garage, and we were doing that. So just kind of always have had that interest, of playing in a band and being in the marching band, just music. Also, when we lived in Germany, because I'm an Army brat, so we lived all over the place, And in Germany is when the whole DJ thing and the seeing DJs kind of rocking the party, and it was like, wow, this is cool too, to me. It's like you can be in a live band, or you can also play good music, and DJ, and that was it. I kind of wanted to, do that.
Yeah.
So,
Now, do you like playing the drums better than spinning, or you like spinning better than playing the drums?
They're both, you know, I like them both. You know, I like both the same.
Yeah, it's really hard to pick your favorite kid.
Because there's something too, you know, especially playing with some friends, and when you're, you know how it is when you're, you know, just jamming with a, you know, in a band and practice room, whatever. But when you get in that groove, you know, people that aren't in bands don't really understand, you know, that feeling that you get when,
especially if you dabble in improv.
Sure.
I mean, especially because you'll have your bad moments, and then you'll have those moments where it's like the light cracked through the darkness.
It's all there, and everybody knows, and you kind of, like, this is cool, you know. And
like, I've literally had moments where it feels like full body orgasm on stage. You know, it's like, whoa, I can't believe that just happened. You know,
that's that look. Okay, I see what you're doing. Yeah. That's cool. And then when DJing, you know, when you see, you know, and I always like kind of starting when, you know, there's not that many people there, kind of building it up, getting people to dance and building it up and kind of packing the floor, you know, people getting into it. And that's, you know, it's a good feeling to see, you know, just people having a good time dancing and, you know, kind of controlling the mood, you know. So I like that part of, you know, of DJing, and always have, you know, just playing the right music, you know, trying to.
Now, do you get into the science of it? Because we were talking earlier before we started recording about how I've been studying lately. You know, we were talking about the pop music on the radio and how it's a formula, and not necessarily in a bad way. And, you know, you're talking about frequency and tone and tempo and key and all that, and how it affects the brain, and then the timing. Yeah. And, you know, and so for somebody like us, if we are listening to something, and, you know, if you listen to one song and you're dancing, you're having an awesome time, and then the next one's got to be something like, you know, you can read the audience. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
Even with when you're playing with the band, you know, if you don't necessarily have a set list that you keep to, you kind of go with the vibe. So do you kind of get behind the science of DJing like that?
I mean, to me, it's completely kind of, I'm kind of feeding off the crowd, kind of, you know, and just trying to do that and stuff. I mean, I'm not, you know, some DJs just kind of, they play what they want to play and it's their thing, you know. But I've always been one where it's more like, you know, I'm kind of feeding off the crowd. And
I think that might be the reason that you have some that are more successful than others, but that's just my opinion. And also, I think those guys that are doing like Dead Mouse 5, and those guys are packing out freaking stadiums, man. Like 50,000 people are going to one show, and it's one dude up there spinning records, and he's got a big lighted up mouse head on, and I'm like, holy moly, dude! Like, but it's a huge party, and they love to go and do it, and that's why I think music is so magic, man. And, I mean, have you ever seen an alien spaceship? Like, who sees George Clinton, I think, might be an alien. Prince might be an alien. I'm pretty sure Michael J. was.
Yeah, I think Prince might be, for sure.
I mean, have you seen him? Because I know he's vegan and everything, but he looks like he's 22. And he's
he looks better than ever.
52 or 53, something like that.
We were watching something just recently. It was a clip that someone brought. And I'm trying to think who it was. They're like, you got to see this Prince thing. You got to see this Prince thing. And it was him and his new band, I guess all girl band. Mm-hmm. And they were doing Let's Go Crazy, but it was like slowed down. And it was rocking hard. It was a good version. I think it's out there. You know, you can look it online and stuff. But it just sounded really good the way he could do that. You know, like take his song, classic song, but just kind of rearrange it. And I mean, it just had a big sound, and he's a badass on the guitar, and you see it on that video. And then when we looked at the other clip when he was on that, I think it was VH1's the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame or whatever, and the George Harrison thing.
Yes. Oh my God. While my guitar gently weeps.
And then they were all playing, you know, Tom Petty and some other things.
Blows it away.
And then he comes on at the end.
Yeah.
And just shreds them all. You know, they're all like looking at him like, holy shit, what's this guy doing?
George Harrison's kid's like, what the hell?
And then he would keep on going. And then at the very end, he just takes his guitar and throws it up in the air and walks off. And then his guy comes and catches it. And then Prince just walks off. And it was like the ultimate, like, you know, guitar hero
moment.
You know, just like, wow, you know.
That's funny you brought that clip up, because every time somebody comes to my house and I have YouTube open on my TV, I'll be like, you gotta see this clip.
Oh, it's an amazing clip. And so, you know, I mean,
And for years, because I saw it when it originally happened.
I did too. Yeah,
and
I love those
then
shows.
For years I looked for it because I'm not the type to go out and buy, the DVDs.
Well, he doesn't let anything go out on YouTube and stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's a freak. You can't get any of his videos.
I know, it's really hard. It's really hard. I saw he's got one on Vivo, I think, but it's really hard to find anything else.
There's a good one where he comes out and plays his guitar in Paris, some outdoor stadium. And he comes out and plays with Sharon Jones and the Dap Kings. They're playing.
Oh, really?
And then he comes out and does a solo. I think she opened up for him.
Oh, dig it.
And but he came out and played with her.
Far out.
And it's a cool video to see.
That's cool. I'll have to look that one up too. And speaking of Sharon Jones and the Dap Kings.
Oh, love her.
Yeah, man. They've played. Haven't they played Sky City?
They haven't played Sky City yet. I'm trying to work on that. Last time they came, they played the Imperial.
That's right. I saw that show.
Yeah, and then they also played Westaboo Festival and played outside there at the old Richmond Academy, the old museum there on Telfair Street. And both those shows are awesome. The first time she played was, believe it or not, at the Soul Bar.
That's right.
She played there. And we put 10 people on the stage. And it was one of the baddest shows, that we've ever had.
Now tell us, speaking of the baddest shows at Soul Bar, what about when Wynton Marsalis came in?
That was another one that was pretty amazing.
And then one night, Pinecone came in, Wyclef Gordon, but I'm pretty sure he probably came in.
He kind of would come in,
regularly.
Yeah, whenever he was in town there for a while, and would always. But he was the one that brought in Wynton Marsalis because they were doing something at the Imperial with the ballet, and so the Lincoln Center Jazz group that Wyclef is in, that Wynton directs, they came down to do that and stuff. And so after their rehearsal on Wednesday, they came down to Soul Bar because we were, doing our Wednesday night prayer meetings, which were the jazz nights every Wednesday that we used to do, and with Bud Hudson and Eric Kinlaw, and they came in.
That was you didn't even have a stage back then; it was just on the floor.
Yeah, I think they were on the floor, and it was funny because he looked up to where I was up on the doing the sound, and he said, turn off all the mics. And then they played like acoustically. And it was loud. Then they could get soft. And it's like they controlled it completely without any mics.
That's beautiful.
And it was awesome because it was loud because they were playing, they were playing loud.
Yeah.
And, but it was all acoustic. And it was... it was mind blowing. Wynton Marsalis doing that on our jazz night and stuff for sure. That was cool.
I remember. Now, whatever happened to the judge? When the trumpet player that led him for a while?
Oh yeah, Carl Brown.
Yeah,
Carl Brown. Where did he go? He went off to school, and I can't remember where he went and stuff.
He was an amazing trumpet player.
Good trumpet player and good singer. Yeah. The ladies love Carl Brown. He worked it. He was good.
LLCB.
Yeah. We had a good run there with live jazz, for a while.
Dude, there was one night, and I have to mention this to you. There was one night that I was there, and I was drinking the Bass directly out of pitcher, It was really cold, and I was with my brother Joe Bone. And he goes, hey, man, I'm going to run around the corner real quick, and left me by myself. And I was standing right by Kinlaw. And we're standing there, and I'm waiting for him to play. I'm really excited. I got a good buzz going on, And next thing I know, I see Wyclef come in the door, put his horn case down, open it up, and I was like, oh, wow, is this happening? Because I'd never seen him in there before.
Right.
And he come in, and him and the judge, at one point, I have my eyes closed most of the time because that's kind of how I feel the music for some reason. I don't know. And so I was standing there, and whenever I was standing there was nobody around. Like there was maybe 10 people in the bar.
Yeah.
And then I open my eyes up. I'm almost done with my picture, right? And I look around, and there is a crowd pushing up on me.
That's awesome.
All up against so there the judge and Wyclef was going back and forth. Carl and Wyclef were going back and forth, and they took me up and up and up and up, and literally I felt like I was floating off the ground.
Yeah, that's cool.
It was crazy.
There is something about the way they play, and man, when Wyclef plays, people usually, they turn around and look. They notice. They have to, just with the way he plays.
Well, the trombone's so interesting too. I love that horn.
Yeah.
I love that horn. We were talking about the brass band that you had at Sky City last night.
Yeah.
And how did Sky City come about? How did that opportunity come up to grab Sky City?
Well, we had Soul Bar, so we were doing that. The guys from Mellow Mushroom opened up the Mission.
Right.
And they got the building, and they kind of built it out, and built the bar, and all the electrical, plumbing, the bathrooms, and they stage, and they did the Mission for a couple years, and then they sold it to someone else, and it just wasn't working for him. He wanted to just get out of it. He didn't want to do the. He didn't realize he had to do. He had another job, and he wanted to do the bar, and it was hard to do both.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
You can't do the and then do the bar, and then kind of do your regular job and do the bar. So he just wanted to get rid of it, and we thought that it would be nice to have a bigger venue to do more live music, and instead of it just someone else maybe doing it and messing it up, or because that could reflect on downtown if it didn't work, downtown's not viable, whatever, to do stuff. So we were like, let's try to get it and try to have a good venue, so we can kind of keep the progress in downtown going. And so my brother Jason and I and Eric Kinlaw from the Bee's Knees, we kind of got together and said, let's partner up and open it up. And so we got it. And, it's coming on year 6 in June this year, so
that's crazy,
pretty wild,
too.
That we've been able to do it. And we really kept the building as it was. And we just put a new sound system in, and we wanted to have something that, we would be, good to have for a while, and that we could host, big bands coming through and stuff. So kind of been able to fine tune it, and it sounds good. And most bands come in and they like it, and it's cool, to have a venue that's easy for bands to set up, easy for the people to come see a show, and we wanted to have a spot like that. So it's been cool.
It's a nice laid back vibe in there too. It's nice, and I like the way it's kind of set up to where the front bar, and then you got the back bar.
Sure, yeah. If you want to just sit and drink, and you can sit up front for sure, but then you got a good back room, and then stuff.
Have you ever thought about doing like acoustic shows up in the front, just like on random nights on week?
Yeah, we have actually, and that would be probably something that the bartenders who are working, if they can handle it, it could be done.
Yeah.
Because I'll probably not be working the beginning of the week because I like to stay home.
Right.
I usually stay home Sundays, Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. And then I work Thursday, Friday, Saturdays.
Right.
That's kind of my schedule. It's been, because I do like to be, either at Sky City or Soul Bar on the weekends. I feel like, that's when I have to work. That's when people are coming down, and, we have to do that. Sometimes people say, man, you shouldn't be, working, every weekend. You're the, if you're the owner, you shouldn't have to be. But I don't know. I've always felt like, got to be hands on.
It's kind of your baby, anyway. Nobody's going to care about it more than you.
So
and Jason and Aaron.
But we're all, we all work kind of that schedule and stuff. But I've enjoyed it because it lets me kind of have my days. And that's always been cool, since Maya was born. I've been able to, kind of miss her mom during the day, and that's cool. And that's awesome.
Yeah,
that is cool to do that. And
that's one of the things I admire about you. A lot of the people in show business, and that's what we're in. I mean, honestly, are kind of behind the back weird people sometimes, and some of them are greedy, some of them are liars, some of them cheat, and it's refreshing for me as trying to be an honest person and a good person to see a family man be able to go out and own a bar, and you work every weekend, and you see live shows, and you're out late nights and stuff like that, and you still handle your family business as well. It's refreshing for me because, a lot of people don't handle their business right, you know what I'm saying? Other people's kids,
Yeah, that's cool. I love,
I think Maya's a good kid, too. She seems to be real smart.
Yeah, Maya's awesome, and, Holly, my wife, is awesome, and so
it
takes both of us to work it.
Both,
having a good partner is the key, I think, and it all works out.
It definitely helps you you know, my dad said, and you know, there was a few things my dad said that made a lot of sense. And he's like, man, a good woman can either make you or she can break you.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, Dad.
Yeah.
So, so what's your favorite moment in Sky City so far?
Man, Sky City's cool because it's you know, every night's different because we do different, you know, different bands, different, you know, every night different kinds of music, different genres and stuff.
Yeah,
so
I
really,
love that too.
It's, you know, every night can be different with stuff, but it's cool when you get somebody you really admire for many years that can come in and play, you know, like to meet Angelo from Fishbone. Yeah. You know, and just having him come in and hang out, talk to him.
And recently I saw the Digital Underground show. That was pretty cool.
Shock G.
Yeah.
He was a trip, man. The dude was, cool. he was in another place there.
I'm telling you, might be an alien.
You know, he is for sure an alien. And his show was interesting because, you know, the first, you know, 45 minutes, hour, he played all his hits and he had a badass DJ. Yeah. And then like after that, he kind of got on the keyboards and then he kind of spaced out for another hour doing just kind of this improv. And it was interesting, you know, but yeah, he was a character. Yeah. You know, he was kind of,
it was very, very interesting.
But it was cool to have him for sure, you know, and that was the day of the fire that we had there on 12th and Broad across the street, you know.
Yeah, that's right. It started that night.
It was that. It started during that day. Yeah, the night before, and it was all day, and then they finally put it up that night, and then we had the show. And
that was crazy how long that thing burned.
You know, people like Frank Black Francis from the Pixies. You know, meeting him when he came and played. You know, Pixies, one of my favorite all-time bands. You know, so to have him come and do his stuff and just be just really nice and really cool guy and great musician and
genius songwriter.
You know, Dinosaur Jr. coming in and doing their thing and hanging out, shooting a video while they were in town. And you know, you look at their video for that song, and you know, you see downtown Augusta. You know, it's so funny. It's, you know, it's cool. Stuff like that is just, it's nice to be able to bring those bands. But then I also like to just see the local musicians in the mix working it, succeeding. Well, that's the thing. Not succeeding, but just the whole thing. You know? It's like the whole thing.
It's crazy to me because, you know, I just recently had a house fire back in last February, and I lost everything. Right, I literally jumped out my window and my bed was on fire.
I remember when that went down. That's crazy.
And so it was like an epiphany when that happened. I lost everything, and it freed me, honestly, because I realized that I was a slave to the things that I owned. And so at that point, I was like, I'm gonna do the things that I've always wanted to do, you know. And so I took off across to the West Coast, and I went to Washington, and played music all the way across the country, and embedded myself for a few days into each scene where I stopped trying to kind of check it out. Right. And I'm telling you, man, there are not many scenes out there like Augusta. We've got really good talent, and we've got a really nice pool of guys together. Yeah. Now, I know that some people can be cliquey, you know, and some people want to talk about other bands, but from my experience, from
and
I haven't felt that. I go in all the camps, and most of the people that I know don't talk bad about other bands, because the bottom line is, if you get on stage, mad respect. Yeah, I don't care if you suck or not. You know, if you're getting up there, hell, I might respect you more if you suck. You know, it's like, you got some balls, man. So have you ever seen like a really horrible show at Sky City?
Oh yeah, I mean, you know, sometimes, you know, and that's the thing, you know, and well, for me, I'm not booking bands that I like. You know, it's not about me. You know, it's about what people want, you know. Right. So I like giving young bands a chance to play. And a lot of times, you know, they don't really last that long. You know, they'll break up within a year, you know, but they had their thing and they do it. Maybe they kind of realize, wow, you know, it's harder than it seems, you know, because everybody wants to get on stage and rock, you know, but then you get up there and you kind of like, oh,
yeah, that's a whole different beast.
Yeah, this is on the stage. It's different than being in the garage, you know. But I like seeing that, you know. But I also like seeing when the bands, it clicks and it works, and there's a crowd coming and the people are into it, and it's like, oh, they're getting a reaction from the crowd. Oh, the crowd's digging it. The band is jamming, you know. And to see a local band do that is, you know, So you get both.
Yeah,
and
I think I've had both in there. I've had good ones and bad ones.
Yeah.
But I think also that the Augusta vibe is nice because downtown has always, especially with the river running right close to us, the energy in downtown seems really. I don't know. It's nice for me.
Yeah,
I like the historical part of it.
Sure.
And all that stuff. Like Savannah is one of my favorite cities.
Right.
And I just go down there just for the history of it.
Yeah. Definitely there's that.
And I mean, how old is the Soul Bar building?
Oh gosh, it's I think it's 1915.
1915?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. That one, and then because it's that whole block there, because we did a little, Barry and them had a thing from Nacho Mama's, and I think it's 1915 when they did that. So it's a little bit newer than some of the other places, but right, still goes back.
Did you ever have? You never messed with any all ages stuff, did you?
Oh well, actually, when we had Ray Gun on 8th Street, we had the coffee shop in the back.
That's right.
And we would have some spoken word stuff and some music back there.
That, yeah. And we had the Bob back then, and there was the White House.
Yeah,
I'm going way back.
Yeah, well, what we had there, we ended up getting the Capri Cinema.
Right.
And so we were doing all ages shows at the Capri Cinema through Ray Gun.
Yeah.
And so we took that building, which is now Le Chat Noir.
Capri? Reverend Horton Heat.
Yes.
Wasn't that crazy? Yeah. Oh man, that was crazy.
Yeah. By then we had moved. We weren't doing it anymore.
Yeah.
Because that was another person's show. I remember.
Yeah.
And there was some issue there where
there was the issue there. I helped with sound that night. Yeah. Like the drummer didn't. He was pissed. And the one that was really cool was Jimbo, the stand-up bassist. But
I was outside and talking to the promoter or the owner of the thing, and he was talking to the band manager, tour manager, who wanted to get paid in full before they got on stage.
Right.
So it was all kind of weird. But but that's the Capri. It's now Le Chat Noir, and it's a cool building. And to me, again, that was kind of that was going on downtown before Soul Bar. Before all these things happened. It was like
little underground.
These little places kind of set it up for the. So when we opened up Soul Bar and then all these other places, there was already a younger crowd that was downtown, and I give a lot of credit to those people.
I do too.
For when we opened up Soul Bar and then Nacho Mama's, they were already down here, and they were like, "Wow, this is cool that we have this now." For a lot of people, that was the first thing they knew about downtown.
Well, that's what I love about downtown is it's ours. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're the one that brought it back from the dead.
Yeah.
And there's been some discussion lately about like busking laws and certain laws about how I'm not going to ask the government whether I'm going to do my art or not. You know what I'm saying? What I'm going to do is I'm going to do my art, and regardless of what anybody says, and I'll do it wherever I want to.
Sure.
And if they lock me up, they lock me up. Hey, whatever. I mean, I'm not going to go to an anti-war rally, but I'll go to a pro-peace rally. I'm not going to try to fight all that. But at the same time,
that's cool.
You're going to be a person that make sure that they know that we did this down here. This is ours. So, don't try to tell us what to do.
Well, I think that's what was it was interesting, because I think we noticed when Nacho Mama's opened up, because, Soul Bar is just nighttime, and so nighttime is nighttime. And it was bringing out, a good mix of people too, which is cool. But Nacho Mama's, they quickly notice, wow, okay, we got the nighttime crowd also, but this lunch crowd, this business crowd is big, and they are, coming to us. And so to me, that made it even cooler, because you had like people, in suits, their business suits in there ordering a burrito, sitting next to, a punk rocker who just played last night, somewhere downtown.
Yeah, exactly.
Sitting down, eating, and it was kind of like, wow, this is cool. This is Augusta, and that's the vibe I've always gotten from downtown Augusta. It's kind of like it's everybody's downtown, and it's really one of the few places in Augusta where it is like that, because most of Augusta seems to be very segregated, and people segregate themselves in everything, they do in Augusta. Everything's real, it's black or white. But downtown, it's everyone's, and there's a good mix, rich, poor, black, white, everything, and it's cool. And I've always kind of
all
just
different types of professions.
And I think you have to have that in the city, is a downtown like that, and that was kind of what we wanted to do. That's always kind of been like our mission, is not just having a bar. I could have a bar anywhere, but to do it in downtown and try to create that's the thing that we need, so
it's the soul is what you're talking about. Like we were talking about earlier, it doesn't matter what genre of music that you're playing. I want to listen to it if it has soul, if it's coming from your heart. And so you saying that it wasn't just about opening a bar, it was about bringing up downtown and loving this city,
Right, yeah.
And that's a beautiful thing to me, because you got to have pride, man. I mean, you don't necessarily got to have pride, but it's nice to have pride in what you have, you know, what you're trying to make.
Well, we and we were all at that age, my friends, Barry and Matt over at Nachos and stuff, and it was kind of like we were
Did Matt open Blue Sky?
Barry and Matt then did Blue Sky and then Stillwater.
Yeah. I love Stillwater too.
Yeah, so they have those three. And I think actually neither of them, they sold Blue Sky. They're still partners at Stillwater. And then I think Barry bought out Matt at Nacho Mama's, Barry's my boy. So is Matt. Those guys are awesome.
Yeah, they're good guys. I don't know them as well as I know you, but I say hey to them. I'm friendly.
Yeah. Well, we were all at that age. We were kind of late 20s, and it was kind of like, are we going to stay in Augusta, or are we going to, start moving somewhere else?
Oh, we're going to leave like everybody else? Yeah,
because most people do leave. You're at that age. It's like, it's time to go somewhere. I don't want to be here anymore. I want to see other stuff and do it.
I felt that way at one point too.
I think everybody does and stuff, and so I had to make that choice, that we were going to stay here and then try to do something if we're going to be here,
Right
so
on.
we are, let's try it, and if it doesn't work, well, I'll go back to teaching and stuff, and we'll do something else, but let's try to make it, kind of a place we want to be, a better place to live.
Is there I know you probably can't say anything other than Matt and Barry's place, but no, is there a favorite place to eat downtown? Because we got some really good spots downtown.
Oh gosh, I like Sia Cafe up here, by the common. That's always been one of my favorite spots, and
a good price too.
Oh yeah,
a lot of food.
Good, Hildebrandt's is cool and stuff, and Nachos is cool. I definitely.
We got knuckle sandwiches now for the late night.
I go in there late night and stuff for sure. Having both Pizza Joint and Mellow Mushroom, they do well. Sunshine Bakery, I ate there yesterday. I used to go there a lot before these other places opened up. That was always good for soups and sandwiches.
Have you been over to the Craft and Vine place?
Yes, Holly and I did go, and it was just some high-end dining that could fit in any major city in the world. I felt like
it's a beautiful spot.
It's very nice, and it is nice, and they seem to be.
I like the ambiance.
Doing really well. The weekends have been packed, and I think that kind of shows that people want to go out, have a place where they can socialize, have a nice date, and it's nice. It's very nice, and I commend Sean White for that place and Farmhouse.
And Frog Hollow.
He's got those three, and those are three strong restaurants that are.
Yeah, I love Frog Hollow, man. And I ate at Craft and Vine for the first time the other night and fell in love too. I was like, oh my God, this is my new spot.
Yeah, it was cool.
I eat it up all the time.
Yeah.
But hell, I eat at Nachos probably 8-9 times a week.
Yeah.
It's like my kitchen.
Blue Sky, I used to go a lot. I haven't really been too much as they kind of changed it up to more of a sports bar kind of thing and stuff. But I used to go there quite a bit too, just because it was next to Soul Bar, so it was easy to sit there. And Whiskey Bar, I like their burgers a lot.
It's cool that like I know Mello does it with Sky City. I think Nacho does it with Soul Bar. Whenever you have artists come through that are performing, they give them a little discount.
They do, yeah. That's always been nice.
That's awesome.
For sure. Yeah,
see, that's the kind of support that I can dig that.
And the bands notice it from out of town. They're always like, "Wow, this is cool, man!" And everybody's so nice.
Yeah.
They're like, I said, people are. I think they appreciate. you know, when bands come in.
Do you feel like kindness is becoming more prevalent? I mean, because I'm feeling like we're having a shift going on right now, and people are being more nicer. Or is that just me and my circle?
That's probably just you. You around all these nice people, man. You got a good vibe around. No, I think it depends on your vibe, you know, and kind of what you get. You know, you get what you give. I don't know. You know, so people who come off, you know, and have that negative energy.
Do you believe in the power, the law of attraction and The Secret and all that? You know about all that stuff, like like you know, the Beatles. The love you receive is the love you give, and you know, it's all equal.
Yeah.
So if you put out positive vibes, you're going to get back positive vibes.
I think so. I think and I think And I mean, you could give a positive vibe and then get your ass kicked, but you know, and that sucks. True. But you know, I don't know. I think
you definitely could get your ass kicked either way.
Yeah. I think you have to try
you do
to
a lot
be
of traveling
as possible. And traveling is So you know, one of the reasons I like living in Augusta. Love living in Augusta really is that the cost of living is so cheap that it enables you to travel and go places and then come back here and, you know, you know, continue you can live and do that and stuff that, you know, but I love traveling and want to travel more and stuff.
So do you find that might be true, that our downtown area has more kinder people than some of the other places that you've visited?
Well, I've definitely been to some cities that it was a little rough and not very nice, you know, and, you know, but then other places that are, you know, that everything was cool and stuff. I think ours is pretty nice though. I think because really, you know, a lot of the business owners know each other, and so that kind of feeds off each other. You know, we're all
and a lot of the businesses downtown are independent businesses, which I love as well.
Yeah, you know, I think Mellow Mushroom is the only franchise kind of thing, but there's no chains down here. Some people say that, you know, maybe that could help. You know, if you have one or two chains, but some people are like, no, we got to keep it independent and stuff, and we'll see. I guess we'll see. You know,
I sway towards the independent side more, but at the same time, I mean, you know, Subway used to be down here. I mean, it's still down.
It's still over there.
Yeah,
sure.
But I mean, you know, I don't know, man. It's hard. The corporate food world really kills me now. You know?
No, I hear you. And so, I mean, hey, we still have that, and it's funny when
Athens. I think Athens was like Augusta back in the day.
Exactly, and that's what I was going to say, is that a lot of these Athens bands come down, and they say that, you know, they're like, wow, this is cool, and this is kind of how Athens used to be as far as the independent everything, you know, and there was no Starbucks anywhere, you know, downtown, you know, on the corner or whatever, and other things like that. And they kind of get that. It's like, you know, we're still, I don't know, innocent. I don't know, you know, but, you know, they do, you get that. And even like bands from New York, they'll come down and they're like, why the Southern hospitality, you know, it's like, it's real, you know. I said, I guess so, you know, and just
most of the places I went and played going across country, Seattle was probably the next to the closest to the nicest people, as far as their friendship to artists goes. Did you know that they're trying to pass a law now that they have musician parking only spots, like close to the venue?
Where you can't park there, and it was like from like 7 p.m. to 4 a.m.
Yeah. You don't need to park here anyway.
We'll leave this for the bands,
right?
Yeah.
Well, the first time I played in Seattle, they turned off the TVs in the venue that I was playing at, and I'd never experienced that before, and I asked a guy, I was like, you guys do that for everybody, or you just being special? And he's like, no, we do that for everybody, man. We don't want people looking at the TV when they're supposed to be looking at you. And I was like, whoa, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And the bar owners are real nice. They give you a tab and they feed you and stuff like that. Yeah. That was one of the only places besides Augusta that I ran into like that.
Right. Wow. Yeah, that's cool.
So I could understand how them other bands would be like, we got to pay for water.
Yeah. Because we always drink them up, and you know, we'll try to get them.
Yeah. I mean, if they drink. How about CRB? That was crazy. Chris Robinson band?
Yeah, really cool.
I didn't expect that vibe. I thought it might be a little bit more rock, but you know, they seemed like the Dead to me.
That was kind of the vibe I got too. That was funny because he had an iPod he gave me to play music before his set, and it was like some chants and stuff, you know. It was like drone.
He's like set the mood.
Yeah, and it was like an hour of, you know,
Delta waves. And
It was like, that's like, okay, you know.
That's crazy.
Cool. That was a fun show for Michael Batamy, who was came to the sound check, you know, and because he's a big fan, and that's his hero. And
yeah, he was freaking out about that.
And so they did their sound check, and then Chris said, "I need to get something from the music store. Is there a music store around here?" Oh, and I said, "Talk to Michael. He works down the street." And he was like, "How far down?" He's like, "It's down, down Broad Street." He's like, "Let's go." And then Michael was like, "Okay, I'll go with you." He was like, "Yeah, take me down there." And so they walked. They left together and walked down.
Awesome.
And then Michael said it was just an awesome experience.
That's got to be kind of
down
surreal.
Broad Street with one of your heroes, you know, and just hang out.
And try not to fucking just spaz.
Just be cool. Yeah.
Because I was walking. Man, I don't know if I ever told you this. Well, no, I don't think I ever did. But, going back to James Brown, whenever I was a kid, my mom worked at the airport. And I would see James Brown go through because sometimes I'd be up at work with her. And then, so I kind of, felt like I could say hey to him sometimes. But my mom never would want me to say anything to him because she wouldn't want me to be embarrassing or anything. And so one time, way out in Hepzibah on the corner of Tobacco and Windsor Spring Road, there was nothing out there at this point in time. It was back in the 80s whenever he was doing I Live in America and stuff, and he had his yellow safety glasses on and stuff,
I know those.
He was riding in his Lincoln Town Car with his driver and his what is it, his bodyguard, and they stopped at this little what's up? They stopped at this little barbecue stand that was sitting there on the corner of the road, and he orders a barbecue sandwich. And me and my mom sitting there at this picnic table, and he comes up and sits beside us. He knows Ma from the airport, and so he invited her to New York one time to a show. And she was like, "No, I can't go, but thank you." But I wanted so bad to tell him how much I loved his music and how much I admired him.
Yeah.
And my mom said, "You better not sing none of James Brown," And I was like, "Oh." So years later, I used to hang out and party with his personal manager, Alif. You know Alif?
Oh, yeah.
And so we used to party and hang out, and then I saw her and him and the bodyguard getting out when he had that building down on Broad. The one with the... I can't remember.
Yeah.
But he had a little spot down there where they did rehearsal and stuff. Yeah. And they were going in there, and the bodyguard was having trouble with the locks. And I was walking down the Broad Street with my ex-wife, and I'm walking, and I'm getting my balls up, and I was like, "This, I'm gonna do it finally. After all these years, I'm gonna say something to standing there, and I was like, I know her, so okay, it kind of calmed me down. And when I got right up to him, I was probably about 10 feet away. I saw that he was about to open the door, and I said, "I got that feeling, baby, I got that feeling now. You don't know what you do to me," right? And I stopped, and my heart was just pounding. And he goes, "Ha! He trying to meet me. He ain't me," and walks in the door. And to this day, I still put that as a blurb on my posters sometimes.
That's funny. That's great.
He trying to be me. He ain't me. James Brown. I was like, yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I finally got to say something to him, and then he had his homegoing.
Yeah,
at the arena.
At the arena, yeah.
Which was so surreal because I was crying my eyes out at the house watching, I'm 4 blocks from the venue where the homegoing is at.
Did you go to the
I finally was like, you know what? I'm 2 blocks away. I'm going down there. So I blasted JB in my car. I pulled up with all the windows down, crying my eyes out.
That's awesome.
And I rolled up my windows and I got out and I sat between 2 old black ladies with their Sunday hats on by myself,
That's cool.
And it was so crazy because, Michael Jackson was there. You know what I'm saying? And then
they called him up.
And his body was laying out. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And then old boy threw the cape over his thing one last time. Bobby Ray was there.
Yeah.
And
I was watching it on TV because they said something like if you went in, you couldn't go out they wouldn't let you back in or something, you know. So, and it was going to be a long service, they said, but they didn't want people going in and out. So if you went in, you couldn't leave. You know, so I was like, okay. So I watched it at home. It was cool to see it on TV. But I knew I had to go down to the Soul Bar to set up, because the Soul Generals were going to do something at the Soul Bar afterwards and stuff. So,
which was insane.
It was crazy.
Like there were people standing on the sidewalk outside.
Yeah. And I mean, we had, you know, it was 15 people on stage. And I recorded that. You know, we recorded that. Matt Flynn recorded that show. And and I have a copy of it, you know, of that and stuff, and
that's awesome.
You know, that'd be something to, you know, maybe give you to play. You know, have that, you know, where this is the, you know, they played it. That was, you know,
man, that would be
after
awesome.
The funeral.
That would be awesome. Hey, how about I get Keith and Fred in here, and then I'm like, check this out.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, they would both
play that track, boy, play that track.
Yeah, it's cool. I'm listening to it and stuff. I need to, you know, but it's broken up into 2 sets. I think they did 2 sets that night where they played and then took a little break and then did another set. And yeah, Flynn recorded it and stuff, and that was one of the special things at Soul Bar too. You know, was to do that and have the you know, the band, you know, ask to do that and stuff. So
who are you wanting to bring in that you haven't been able to get yet? Like I've been after you. I'm like TV on the radio before they get real big, because I'm thinking like these guys before too, because I saw them at the 40 Watt and it was half full.
Yeah,
and it was whenever the Cookie Mountain thing album,
right,
you know, and I'm like, that's a badass album.
Yeah,
you know, and they remind me of like
and that's crazy if it was like that in Athens, you know. Yeah, it makes you think, ooh, what would it be here?
Right, and that's what made me think. I was like, you know what? Yeah, you know, like I wonder if Coco could get them, but then at the same time, would it work? Because do enough people actually know who TV on the radio is?
And they would have a pretty good guarantee, I'm sure. And usually they play. You know, they're the kind of band that plays, you know, usually big, you know, bigger cities and stuff, and then places like Athens, you know, but it's hard to get them in some of the smaller places.
If you're, you know,
but that would be good.
You do all the booking, right?
I do. Yeah. We have some promoters that, you know, I'll work with promoters that do some shows, but yeah, pretty much. I mean, we do it in house, and I book Sky City. You're
actively from the house, like seeking out bands to get to the venue.
All the time. So that's my day job.
You're not just sitting at the house, man.
Yeah.
You're working.
Oh yeah, for sure.
See, that's what people don't understand. Whenever I'm like, I'll be out with girlfriends or something, and they'll all be on their cell phones with just random people not doing anything. And I'm like, come on. And I'm actually trying to socialize with you, right? But sometimes with us, if I'm on the phone, the only time I'm on the phone is I'm doing business, period.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, okay, now every once in a while it'll be a social thing, but for the most part, if I'm messing with my phone, it's because I'm doing business, and nobody understands that. It's not like we have a set schedule for what we do.
Right.
And then, but at the same time, I was thinking about that we were talking about drums and tuba earlier. Ani DeFranco. I mean, like, it seems like some of these people we might be able to, you know, finagle in there or something.
Sure.
Susan Tedeschi played the Playground, and I'm like, you know, the Tedeschi Trucks band probably come, and that would be a crazy.
Well, they did something at the Imperial a couple years, 3 years, 4 years ago, I don't know, and sold it out.
Yeah.
There was Derek and Susan together.
That's right. Yeah.
Susan played by herself, though, at the Playground?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow,
that was years ago.
Yeah.
And that was when the Playground was over on 9th Street.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's way back.
Yeah.
That was kind of cool back there, that little building with the backyard, the outdoor.
I liked it better before Scott covered it with the Luan. Because it was just opened up. And sometimes if it was real nice outside, you could see the stars.
Yeah.
You know, it was really nice back there.
Yeah.
But now they got the Soul Caribbean down there. Have you ever been over there to eat?
I have.
Yeah.
I have.
You like that type of food?
It's all right. I'm not.
It's rich.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're open real late too.
I'm just glad they moved from next to Soul Bar, because they were there for a minute, and there's the Soul Caribbean, still Caribbean.
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
And they had that, and then it was supposed to be a restaurant, which was cool, but then they became a reggae club,
dance nightclub,
and so they had those speakers booming next door. And
it was pretty bumping.
I didn't like that.
Yeah, but they moved down the street though.
Yeah. And
now it's something else.
Now it's the studio for Weir Stewart, the design studio. And they've really hooked up that spot. It looks really cool in there. if you ever want to just check it out. It's a really cool building. Well, as far as what they did in the inside, and it's identical to the Soul Bar. It's the way the dimensions of it.
Yeah. A lot of the buildings downtown are kind of like that, though.
Yep.
Long corridor.
Narrow. Yeah.
But that's cool, though, and I hope they do something with the Miller.
Yeah, I think
they keep saying that something's going to happen.
Well, the symphony has it, and I think they're working on raising funds to get it going. But it sounds like the symphony is supposed to be the ones who are going to, get that building and transform it into
you guys support the symphony, because I would love to see Miller open.
The
man.
Miller would be cool. Yeah,
that's such a nice theater, and the Ghost Hunters went in there just recently.
Oh shit, was it haunted? I'm sure it was. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
It is haunted as fuck.
They had I remember going in there when it was in bad shape, and they had the apartment that was kind of hidden away up above the lobby kind of thing. It was pretty cool.
Yeah,
nice.
It's some freaky spots in that building. I got the opportunity to crawl through there with a friend of mine that was doing some work in there.
Yeah,
and there's just the catwalks, and there's some crazy spots in that building that's freaky. And then we were downstairs at one point.
Downstairs too.
Yeah,
cool.
And I was like, okay, I need to get out of here. This is freaking me out. Yeah. And then a friend of mine was working on that funeral home that they redid over on Green Street, and they're trying to sell it. It used to be a funeral home.
Right. Yeah.
And I went downstairs when it was freaky too. Do you believe in things like that, like ghosts and stuff like that?
I just believe in Casper, the friendly ghost. But
see, positive vibes, man.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
I can dig that, man, because the hell with the negativity, man. Casper's a good guy.
Casper's always cool.
And I'm pretty sure he's the kind of ghost I could probably hang out with. Yeah. Maybe him and Beetlejuice.
Yeah, Beetlejuice is cool.
Yeah. I don't want him to hang around too much, because he probably get on my nerves a little bit.
I like that. That's a good one. That's a good movie.
What's your favorite thing to eat at nachos?
I usually get the copan.
Oh yeah.
Some people say copan. Can I get that copan? But it's the copan.
Let me get that Havana.
And it was I think it was the summer before, or maybe 2 summers before we opened up Soul Bar. I went on a trip to Honduras, where my parents are from. Yeah. And I took some friends with me, and Barry and Matt were in that group, and we went down to Honduras, and we went to see the Mayan ruins.
Oh yeah,
they have there and stuff, and it's in a little town called Copan.
Cool.
And in Copan, it was pretty cool. There were a lot of travelers there, a lot of Europeans and stuff, and really cool little town with cobblestone roads, and you could go there and get rooms to stay and restaurants. And we went to a restaurant there, and it was a burrito place, and they had these big ass burritos that were awesome. And you get a burrito and a beer for like $1.50.
Yeah.
And so everybody got a burrito and their beer and stuff. And I thought it was cool that when they decided to do that, they called, one of them the Copan, and it was kind of...
Yeah,
there's a picture there with Webb Smith, who also went, my friend Webb. And he's kind of... It's a picture we took. Oh,
yes.
And he's holding
I've always wondered about that
he's
picture.
He's holding that burrito and his Nacional, his Honduran beer.
Yeah.
And that was in Copan.
That burrito's huge, man.
Yeah. And that was in Copan.
$1.50.
And that was kind of funny that and so I always go and get the copan, and it's always good, and it's kind of...
I can't get away from the fish tacos, man.
Yeah.
So much. And then the peri peri sauce that they get from the Chico's.
Yeah.
So good.
And then the T-Huff pasta.
Oh, yes.
And T-Huff is my friend Tom Huffstetter that I was talking about.
You know what? Whenever you said that, I was like, T-Huff.
That's my T-Huff.
The T-Huff pasta. So he came up with that pasta?
Yeah. Tom was always talking about, he likes to cook and stuff, and it's like, Barry, you should do one like this, and this is my recipe if you ever want to do it. Barry did it. It was like, it's pretty good. I like it. We'll call it this T-Huff pasta,
Oh, that's cool. I get that I get that like once a month or something like that there.
Well, that was a cool trip to Honduras, and then we went to the Bay Islands on the coast, and you have to fly over to the islands right there on the Caribbean, and we went snorkeling and stuff. But on those trips is when we were kind of talking about, man, we should do something in Augusta kind of thing, So that's kind of how we were, we're friends like that and stuff. Yeah. So when we kind of...
You think you'd always stay here, or you're going to retire somewhere else, or what's up?
Well, I like being here now because of what I'm doing. Holly has a good job at GRU, and that's kind of, cool for her. Maya's in a great school at Davis in Fine Arts. And we want her to, definitely come, do that and then go to college. And I asked myself that too. It's like, man, so how long can I continue to be DJing and doing, stuff like that, because I'm almost 50 years old. And it's like, is there a time limit and stuff?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think after Maya graduates and is kind of doing her thing, I would be open to, go somewhere. But I don't know. I'll probably stay here and just continue to travel like I like to do. I like my house. I like my, what's going on in
Where's
Augusta.
the coolest place you've been to?
Wow.
Like you've been a lot of places.
A lot of places. And, part of it was just growing up, Army brat, So like I was born in Panama, but then we lived in California, Los Angeles, Fort MacArthur. My dad was stationed. Jason was born there in San Pedro. And then we moved to Seoul, Korea. Seoul, Korea was just a whole nother just mind-blowing experience, and I was, second, third grade and stuff, fourth grade. And then we moved from Seoul, Korea to Augusta, Georgia the first time.
Right.
So that was kind of culture shock. Yeah. That was like going from Seoul, Korea, which is a huge major city, to Augusta. And it was like, wow, we're in the woods here. It seemed like, it was crazy. And then from here to Hanau, Germany. And Germany was awesome. That was outside of Frankfurt, Germany, and
Germany's they keep their stuff real clean.
And it's nice. It seemed, it was cool. It was, that was, 7th, 8th, and 9th grade. So that was like middle school there, and that kind of was like your formative years. It seemed like, it's like kind of grew up there. It seemed like, and then
was there a lot of American music there?
Oh yeah,
Times,
yeah.
Right?
Because and then you're going to school at an American high school with a bunch of American kids whose fathers and moms are military.
Yeah, right.
So you're just all it's like, and then people are coming and going all the time and stuff, and you play sports against other schools and other cities and stuff, and it's awesome. It's just kind of, it's an interesting, and I think it's changed. I don't think there's they don't send as many families overseas now like they used to. Just with budget cuts and the way the Army is set up now, where before families went, and there was a lot of families overseas like that. Then we came back here. It was Fort Polk, Louisiana for a year, and then Fort Gordon, and then that's when my dad retired, and then I just ended up staying here. But I've loved to travel ever since. Barcelona, Spain might be my favorite city of all time and stuff. Or Amsterdam.
Oh yeah, all right.
So and
Barcelona,
not for the obvious, but just like the city itself. Amsterdam is pretty amazing.
I think the Dutch people are probably just like really socially advanced type people.
I think more, probably the most as far as just open and cool with whatever and stuff. They always
I love that.
Like that.
I probably would freak out if I went over there and probably wouldn't want to come home.
Have you never been?
I've never been over there.
Well, you should
it's on my list.
Talk to Raul Pacheco about Amsterdam because he has family there. And
no kidding. Well, I might have to be like, so let me talk about your cousins.
He'll tell you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I don't know. I always think about it'd be cool if I, whenever I get older, and I'm just like, all right, well, I'm just gonna go somewhere and live out my days.
Dougie Doug.
Doug.
Where do you want to go?
I'm thinking Belize.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, only because I read about places and everything I read about Belize, I'm like, oh. Yeah, or Portugal cool. Maybe. Portugal sounds good to me because they're socially advanced. Also, they've done away with a lot of stupid laws. Like they did away with the drug war completely.
In Portugal or Belize?
Yeah, in Portugal.
Yeah, right on.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and some people would say that's a bad thing, but I think when you criminalize something that people are going to do anyway, then you're making criminals out of good people. Yeah, because you're pretty much a decent person. If just because you imbibe something that may be altered to your state of being, it shouldn't matter. It's like sexual orientation. Who gives a shit? I don't care. I'm living my life. You live your life, and everybody do their thing. And then it cuts out people shooting kids in drug wars and turf wars and stuff like that. But Amsterdam. I just don't know. Does it get cold in the winter? It gets really cold in the winter.
It does. I think it's kind of like here. You get the 4 seasons and stuff.
Yeah. You mean they don't have summer all the time? See, that's what Belize is all about. Yeah. It's like 75 all year round.
Well, and Belize has that. The coral reef off of Belize is the same coral reef that's off of the Bay Islands in Honduras because it's right next to each other. Belize used to be British Honduras. And see, it's my Spanish teacher coming out. The Belize is cool because they speak English, because it was British Honduras. So it was always all those Spanish speaking countries. Belize was always in British Honduras English speaking. But I mean the Caribbean Sea, the fish and the scuba diving and all that, it's like top notch there. It's like the second largest coral reef behind the Great Barrier in Australia. Whoa. And it's like you go there and it's like clear water and coral reef, and it's cool.
Looks like you can reach right to the bottom, but it's 12 feet.
But you got a lot of people going down there now, it seems like, and you can't touch the coral, and people break off coral, and it's like you got so stuff like that you have to be but it's awesome. And I need to go back because Maya has not been to Honduras, and we just haven't had a chance to go down there and stuff.
And you still got family down there,
yeah. My cousins live there, it's just my dad has his whole family there. It's just that he left Honduras when he was 18 and came to the States and became a citizen, and they got drafted in the Army. And same with my mom; she came to study and stuff. And
if you're going to be a citizen, I'll tell you what you can do for us.
But he
was he
dad,
pissed?
No, he wanted to. He was looking. Yeah, he wanted to do that. He was like,
did he get drafted into Vietnam? Or?
He was in the Army and he went to Vietnam. Yeah, but he was in before, before Vietnam. Like he was in the mid 60s when he got in and stuff, and he served like in Mississippi when they had some of those the riots when they brought in the National Guard, when they integrated the schools and stuff, and they had to do that, and he was there, and that's when he was like first started. He went to Camp Gordon, for his MP school, so,
that's crazy.
And then did that, and then later, when he went to Vietnam, it was he was a MP, military police, and then did that. So
Forrest Gump went to that school.
Yeah. Vietnam though, that's crazy to think.
I know.
It's like, wow, my dad was in Vietnam. Wow.
Did he was he in combat or?
No, he was kind of military police. It was like dealing with the soldiers that were fucking up.
It was like, don't stick your snake in there. What's wrong with you?
And it was bad. And he says, it was like a lot of dope, and there was a lot of soldiers got addicted. Just stuff that was going on, and
I'd imagine there was a lot of them that just went AWOL.
And they would leave, and they'd be somewhere in Saigon, and a lot of people were missing, really, and pretty intense. So he wasn't like on the front line or anything like that, but he was dealing with all the, everything else.
So he encouraged you to stay away from the military, or?
No, actually, that was probably our, I think he thought we would maybe do, both my brother and myself. And I was actually in ROTC in high school, and I took some.
And you liked it, or?
I did, but in a way, I wanted to do something different. I kind of knew that. So it just went in, kind of when I went to college, it was like, I'm not going to, take ROTC in college and go to the military as an officer. I don't really want to, do that. So I guess I let him down. I let my parents down.
Well, he's probably over it now.
Yeah. Well, they still ask me like, when am I going to get like a real job? And I'm like, man, really? Come on, man. I got 2 jobs.
Right? I tell my mom that. I'm like, Mom. She's like, when are you going to get a job? I'm like, Mom, I have 3 jobs, Mom. And she's like, what are that? And I was like, I perform. I write. I have to set up the stage. I have to book. That's 5 jobs. What are you? But of course, as an artist, and not that popular of an artist, because my promoting skills is kind of slack. I mean, I'm pretty well known around here, but it's still hard to draw a freaking crowd,
Yeah. Do you play out of town? Do you?
Yeah, I try to get out of town as much as possible, but like transportation for me is weird because I don't care to pay a bunch of gas prices for the, to give the oil all my money. But at the same time, like if I can carpool and get with a good group of guys, we can go and do something. I love to do that.
You don't have a Happy Bones van?
No.
Is that van? No.
We've had Happy Bones vans, man. We've tried. I mean, hell, one time we had a trailer and we bought this van. me and Doug, we get together and we're like, we're gonna do this, and it was when we started Tommy O.D. and the Survivors.
Oh yeah.
And we got with Randy
and the trailer.
We got the van and the trailer, bought it all the same week, and then went to Atlanta to play a 2-night show at this place called, what was it called, Doug? Dos Copos. And on the way up, we're like, all right, I got a pen and a pad. What songs do we know? And we're literally writing out songs that we know on the trip up there to do 2 nights, $500 a night guarantee.
Very nice.
Yeah, and food and drinks.
What happened? Did something happen to the van?
No.
Oh, okay. You were good. Okay.
No, it was good. I mean,
so you did that.
It went smoothly. You know, they never asked us back, but and the reason is because Randy wanted to repeat a couple of songs, and they got pissed about it. And I was like, dude, you can't repeat songs, you know.
Yeah.
But nothing against you, Randy. I love you.
Where's Randy? I haven't seen him in a while.
He's going to be at the April 5th show.
Okay,
Randy and the rest of them is what they're called.
Okay,
yeah,
awesome, good.
And it's just like a little 3-piece. They do like Waylon Jennings stuff and Johnny Cash and which I appreciate that too. We got that benefit for it's the Faulkner family and the Jordan family. They live in different parts of the city, but they both lost their houses to fires. And they haven't really reached out to United Way or Salvation Army or took any public assistance. So I was thinking, let's the community step in and try to help,
That's cool.
And so Chef Red, I need to get in touch with him today. Chef Red decided to, get involved with it, and he's actually going to try to donate some of his airtime on the radio to promote it a little bit.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I like Chef Red. He's got some good food.
Yeah. I've been trying to stay off the poke, though.
Yeah.
But it smells so good.
I like bacon.
I know, right? Doug, did you want to come in here and talk? There's a microphone free.
All right.
Dougie Doug.
Morgan, is that turned up? Right on. This is Doug
What's
James.
up, man?
How you guys doing?
How's Cleveland doing? They gave up they lost some people, right? Free agency.
They lost people. They gained people. There's no point in wearing that. And right now they're they still suck.
They still
They're talking about Cleveland Browns.
It's always that. Well, it's an ongoing thing, man. It's like
we're not kidding about that. Ongoing, just year after year.
Well, they had a coach for 1 year, and then they got rid of him. And who did they bring in?
Mike Pettin out of Buffalo, defensive guy
from the Buffalo Bills, defensive guy.
He was their defensive coordinator last year.
Right. See, that's what's wrong with Cleveland, man.
See, I don't know anything about football. Y'all talking Spanish to me right now.
I like sports too, man. It's crazy, how I kind of get into.
Do you like MMA fighting? Now that's the sport that I can get behind.
I do like. That's kind of a guilty pleasure that I like to watch sometimes when I go home, and I'm home late and stuff. When I get
Joe Rogan's podcast is the reason that I wanted to do this.
Oh, that's cool.
Because I listened to the Joe Rogan Experience, and when he first started, he was using a laptop, and it was really bad quality, right? But now he's, got it pretty professional and everything, and it's awesome. And he just does it just like us, we're just talking. Yeah. And Doug, for everybody that is just now seeing Doug walk in, he's my a real good friend for years and years, brother. And he's my musical collaborator. I collaborate with him. Yeah, we're in Happy Bones together.
Yeah.
And he used to be in a band called 420 Outback and all that jazzy jazz. And he's all right fella. He's a little bit of an introvert, though. I was like, do you want to be on the podcast? And he's like, what am I going to say?
Introvert.
I'm a shy guy. I don't usually talk very.
But he's got the dry humor thing, so it works out because I'm all boisterous.
He's a straight man. Yeah, he's a straight man. You got to have that. That's right.
And so sometimes we'll be outside a venue, and we're just like, I'm carrying on and so animated. And then he'll be like, he's crazy.
I'm the Abbott to his Costello.
Yeah, it's good to have that.
And sometimes we play it off. We do an acoustic show too, a 3-man acoustic thing, and it's totally different from the full band.
Yeah.
And we'd play off each other like that sometimes too, be joking around with each other, and people just crack up. And
if we're lucky, they crack up. Mostly they just look at us like, are
we're
they
crazy. But I feel lucky to have a comrade like this because, how many people can you meet and then still be playing music with 13, 14 years later, because I see a lot of musicians that they can't stick together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean,
crazy.
It's
that just goes what I've always said about the Augusta music scene. There's only one band, and we're all in it. It doesn't matter what lineup shows up at what bar in any given, because we've all played with the. I mean, there's not too many guys around town that I haven't probably played with on stage at one point or another.
Well, see, you're different from me because I'm a singer-songwriter, and I'm not really prolific on my instrument. I'm just basically I beat on the guitar like it's a drum and play basic chords.
He's not kidding.
So but I can get on stage with anybody and sing.
Sure.
But as far as getting up and playing music with them, you're way more advanced than I am in that area. And Doug plays some crazy like Jimi Hendrix chords that I'm like, what is that? And he's like, I don't know. I call it the Dougie Fifth.
Well, when you've played the guitar for 25 years, eventually your fingers just kind of relax into what turns out to be a chord, whether it's what you're taught or not. You kind of develop your own thing, and they call them Dougie chords for some reason.
Yeah.
Like people who have studied will come up, hey, that was a 13th chord, and I'm like, oh, no shit. I make them mad. But that's
hell. Coco sat in with us a few times.
That's right.
Oh yeah, I like to do that.
Yeah.
Sound check.
Yeah, it was fun. And we opened for they're dead Confederate now, but they were Red Belly back in the day, and I remember. Because they drew such a good crowd.
Yeah.
And I remember that last song, Hardy came up and he was like, all right, one more, man. And I was like, all right. And so we drugged that last song out a little bit. It was like, I'm going to do improv and I'm going to do it for 15 minutes,
Yeah, they would do it. They were, yeah.
But I was down in Statesboro one time with them at Mellow Mushroom, and I was helping with sound. And they did this little breakdown in the middle of their set where they was just, Hardy be on the, hand drums and everything, and they're just doing whatever. And the mic was open and it hit me, and I ran up on stage, and it was Halloween night, and it was packed. And I was like, 8 shots away, hey. And I just kept chanting that and went along with what they were doing. And the crowd started chanting it. And whenever they did the hey, there were so many people at the stage, I could feel them, hey. And I was like, what the hell?
That's cool.
And then I was like, after the show, I was like, Hardy, I hope you didn't, wasn't pissed at me. He's like, no, you took it to another level, dude. I was like, that's what's up. They'd be good. When are they coming back through?
I don't know. Hardy is doing some solo stuff.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah.
He did a really good solo record, and then he did a little project where he took some of those songs from that record and went to like different places in Georgia, like historic preservation sites, like places in danger of being demolished and stuff, and did like different songs with those places and little videos and stuff, and they're really, really cool, and it was well received. I think Dead Confederates on the road also doing some short tours and stuff, but we don't have any dates right now. He's getting ready to have a baby.
Oh,
Him and Aaron are expecting.
I think I got wind of something about that. That's awesome.
I said, you're gonna have a girl, man, and they're gonna have a girl. He told me the other day, you were right. I said, cool, man.
That's awesome. You saw the future.
Yeah. That's cool.
And a friend of mine was the other day. She said she was dreaming of fishes, and that means she's pregnant or somebody around her's pregnant. Have you ever heard that before? I was like,
the fishes.
Yeah, I was like, is that what that means? He's dreaming of fishes.
Little fishes.
I was like, well, I've never dreamed about fish before. So, but yeah, speaking of Hardy, he was one of the guys that kind of. Like back in the day, we sat down and it was after a show and we were talking, and it's probably one of the few conversations I've had where I just sat down and really got into his head, and he was saying that fishing was like playing music. And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, well, you can sit there for 8 hours on a boat and never get a nibble. And then you get that one fish on the line and you snatch it up and you're so excited. And he's like, that's what it's like playing mediocre music for 2 hours. And then all of a sudden you get that crack and you're like, wow, it all came together, And so I carried that quote with me for a long time, and I still use it. I'm like, it's kind of like fishing.
I've never heard that.
I might have to go fishing, I guess.
Have you never been, really?
I used to go, and a little bit with my parents, but I mean, when I was smaller and stuff, but it's not something like to go do, I don't do it.
Right.
Sharon Jones loves to fish, and when she's in town, she'll call up or text me or something. She's like, I want to go fishing. Where can I go fishing?
No kidding.
Because she moved back here. She bought a house in North Augusta.
Oh, right on.
And so when she's not on tour, she likes to come here and stuff. And she's always about fishing. And Walter Lane, who was one of our bartenders, he moved to Athens, but he loves to fish, and so I kind of got them together, and so they go fishing.
That's cool.
I don't know. I don't really go fishing. It's cool, but I don't know. But maybe it's I can see the zen.
Yeah, it's got to be a zen thing.
You're out there in a cool place somewhere, and
with nature. It's quiet.
Yeah, with nature.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is my home.
I just remember going out sometimes and it was so hot and mosquitoes, and it was like, man, I don't know. And then I got the fish, and I didn't want to like cut it up and
I know.
gut it. It was like,
dude, it's me too. Like I feel bad whenever I'm hooking the worm and it starts to squirm. I'm like, that worm feels what I'm doing to it. I was like, he's got feelings, man.
I was never a big. My grandfather was a professional fisherman. I mean, he would just throw the fish out there. You have filleted in like 3 seconds.
It's like, man, I'll just go to Captain D's. It's cool, fillet of fish.
Coco was saying that his family wasn't really musically inclined or anything like that, and Doug and I, both of our families, my cousin Judge that plays lead guitar in Happy Bones, he's the reason that I play music. And it's so surreal to me that not only does he play in my band now, he plays my arrangements, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's cool.
My songs. And then Doug, his dad was a jazz guy.
Jazz pianist, and he played the upright bass too.
Oh, nice.
He made a recording with Stan Getz.
Stan is the man.
Yeah.
I love Stan Getz. He's one of my favorites. His whole
I thought you'd like
awesome.
that. And
that's cool.
It was the Playboy All Stars album of like 1953, something like that.
But he wasn't in the union, so he didn't get credit.
He didn't get credit because he didn't have a union card, so they had to call some guy in Los Angeles and get his card so my dad could come in and do it. But my dad went to Columbia, and he hung out at Birdland, and he would come see all these guys come jam after hours, and that's how we hooked up with them.
So he had that in the house, I guess. You had piano in the house.
Oh,
kind of thing,
my grandfather was a ragtime piano player from back in like 100 years ago.
That's cool.
It's music goes deep.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
And whenever I was a kid, Judge would play. He had this band called Judge and the Jury. That's what it was.
Of course.
It was a good one. And
should have been Hung Jury though.
Judge and the Hung Jury.
Yeah, I would have done. I would like that way better.
But I would go and see his shows, and I would be like, oh man. I want to do that, how do you do that? It's crazy. And now he plays in the band. That's so crazy. Like, and he's 59,
50 something,
58, 59.
Now you guys are playing that first Saturday in April. Was it April 5th?
April 5th, yeah.
Okay. Who all's playing?
Shameless Dave and the Miracle Whips is going to be there.
Okay.
A band called Jets Over Jordan that really don't get out. They're really technical.
Okay.
And they're going to be there.
But they're local? Jets Over Jordan?
Yeah. Okay. I think they're from like Harlem or something.
All right.
And then The Method will be there with Joe Cruz. And then us. And then Celia Gary's going to play acoustic in between band setups, and Sean Piazza.
Yeah.
And
that's cool.
And Ashley Wright.
Right.
And that's it.
That's awesome. Yeah. Okay, that'd be good.
And then the 27th. The Thursday, are we still doing that?
Yeah, we're doing
recording.
We're recording. And we're doing with it Touchy and
Touchy and Jeff Johnston.
And what's the other one?
Yeah, the guy's name is Joel Moss Summer. He works at Beasley's.
Right on.
Got a band.
Is he a younger cat? I've never heard of him.
Younger guy. Yeah. He's new in town kind of thing, but he's doing this. Yeah, he's been here for a year or two now, I think.
So it's just acoustic singing?
He might actually have a little group. He's trying to get a band together. I'm not sure.
Touchy is Paxton's band,
who works at Nachos. Touchy, that young band that's kind of doing a little something. Touchy, something. They're good.
Yeah,
Paxton's a good front man.
I've gotten a little buzz about him. I mean, when you see Paxton, he's so kind of like quiet and everything. You wouldn't.
And then when he gets on stage, you can see it. And he plays guitar, and he's got a good crunchy sound, and and it's kind of loose.
Yeah.
And the bass player is real solid, and the drummer is real solid. It's kind of loose, but then they'll get real technical, then they'll get kind of loose again.
Yeah, I like that.
And it's sometimes it's like Primus, but then it gets kind of Tom Petty-ish.
Yeah. So what you're saying is it's original.
It is. Yeah,
that's the way it's supposed to be.
And the way it's supposed to. Like his, he has his own voice, so it's cool. I've kind of, when I saw them, I was like, wow, these, I like this sound.
Good.
It's cool.
That's good.
And he's ripping on the guitar. I didn't know he could play like that. I like the way he kind of plays, and the drummer and bass, they're just kind of little. They don't move as much. They're kind of just keeping it together. Them two.
Yeah. And
then Paxton's kind of
solid foundation
doing his thing, and I think they're playing actually Saturday with Funk U for like a pre-St. Patrick's Day show.
Dig it. Nice. Funk U's another one that I'm enjoying. They, it's kind of funny because Gavin called me a while back whenever they first got together, and he was like, "Hey, you want to come and jam?" And I was like, I got a lot of stuff, I'm gonna try.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fucking hell. They're a good band.
They're doing really well too, and some nice to see them playing out other places out of town. And
well, I loved the video that they did, and I agree with you. I kind of want to do a video downtown, and I want to incorporate Augusta into the song. Give a shout out to Augusta in some way, kind of like James Brown used to do.
Yeah.
And speaking of James Brown, we seem to keep coming back, but I saw that last documentary thing he did, and I saw Keith in the rehearsal studio with him. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
They were playing at the museum for a while. But I'm glad that the museum also, gave props to James too.
Yeah, that was a pretty cool exhibit. There was a lot more stuff they probably could have had in there, but it seems like it's hard to get some of the stuff that's out there.
Is it because of the estate and how
the estate? They auctioned off a lot of his stuff. When they had some stuff.
Did they ever build the tomb out there on his property? And
as far as I know,
wanted?
Yeah, but as far as I know, he hasn't been put in the ground. He hasn't been buried. He's at Deanna's house in a mausoleum.
What?
In Deanna's house.
That's kind of weird.
I'm not sure. I heard they wanted to do something at the estate, kind of like a Graceland, which would have been kind of cool. I think,
that's what I heard about.
Call it the Black House.
Yeah,
to me, it's like the White House.
Yeah,
Black House.
No doubt.
And make it like that. That's what I would have done if I was his manager. I would have done that. Kind of like Graceland, which I've never been to Graceland, but I'd like to go check it out.
I've been there.
It's cool.
Yeah,
right?
Took the tour all through to the Jungle Room and all through that. And didn't go in. An Elvis fan came out with a whole new respect for what that man accomplished.
That's awesome.
Because you go down into his little gym area where he had his racquetball court, and the whole wall for the racquetball court is nothing but his gold records.
Yeah,
and
that's cool.
He takes up the whole thing, and it's that's before the internet. That's before TV, really. Before it was really globalized.
That's funny
like that.
because there's this story, and I'm not sure if it's true, but this guy was really good. He was in prison, right? He was an artist, and he was really good. And they let him out of prison to record a song for one day. He went in there, and for some reason, he was having trouble with part of the arrangement, and so it was like getting down to the wire, and they're like, "Oh shit, we're not going to get this done. You got to go back to prison." And and this young kid comes in and helps him with the chorus or the arrangement, whatever part he was having a difficult moment with, and it turns out it was a young Elvis. Have you ever heard that story?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's so crazy. But I'm like, that's so crazy. I need to try to research that a little bit more, try to see if it's true or not.
I don't even know.
But Elvis was one. I like the black leather days, the Hey Mama days,
Yeah, that's one of my first memories. Was my parents had an Elvis record that you bought off the TV. It was like greatest hits, and I actually found that album like at a some record swap, and it was that blue album with the yellow Elvis, and he's got his white on. He's got whatever. And just listening to it, put it on, and it's that sequence.
What time is it?
It's 1 o'clock, fellas.
What you got?
I need to get back. I'm working.
If you listen to Mr. Osmond, we didn't keep. He's not at the podcast.
I'm not actually here right now. See, you listening to this on the weekend when it actually gets released, so you have no proof of where I was.
It's Saturday afternoon. What you talking about?
He's on the phone.
Coco,
later, man.
Good to see you.
I'll see you on the phone,
All right, brother.
man.
Love you.
Peace and grease and chicken, all that other shit.
Well, shit.
Cool.
I think we've about gotten to the 2-hour mark, and I would like for you to come back if
oh yeah, man, I'll be glad whenever.
Where can people get in touch with you, send you harassments about bands they want to come through Sky City?
Well, on Facebook we have my personal page, Coco Rubio on Facebook, also Soul Bar Augusta and Sky City Augusta on Facebook, and then the website soulbar.com or skycityaugusta.com. So anywhere online, I can be reached. And
right on.
And I'm always looking for bands.
Yeah.
I'm always looking for suggestions for bands.
Yeah.
Bands that could work,
And you guys check it out too, because if you go, you go on your friend's thing and you make Coco a close friend so that you get all his updates, and sometimes he'll post and he'll say, next 5 people that post here can get a free ticket to the show tonight.
Man, that works. People like to post up on that, and I mean, it's a good way to get people interested in coming, and sometimes
I was thinking about doing that.
Whatever helps
like that
to kind of get people to come see some music and stuff, and hopefully they'll see a band that maybe they haven't seen before, and they'll like it, and that's kind of what I like to see happen too, because I mean, a lot of times people complain, that, man, we need some new bands and some new music, and then when you have a band you haven't heard, they don't go out, and it's like, well, you got to go
asked
see,
for something new, and then you didn't.
But then they don't want it. Then they don't really want it. They want to be. It has to be something familiar. So I think you got to challenge people to come out to see some stuff. And
absolutely.
And that's kind of what we do. But I think overall, live music in Augusta is better now than it has been in the past, and we're getting really good bands coming into town more regularly. I think if you bring in some well-known acts, they're definitely going to do well. It's
the Bell in the arena seems to be stepping it up a little bit.
They're doing fine. I think having Global Spectrum in the mix has helped a lot and stuff. And but I think it's important to keep the local scene kind of going. I think bands need to
absolutely.
Bands they need to not overplay.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my opinion on some of the local bands.
Saturating the market is
a little too much.
An issue.
Because then people, it doesn't become as special when you play. And I think you got to kind of keep it special.
I think that's my problem. I kind of do saturate the market.
But it depends. I mean, what you're doing too, and what.
Yeah, well, see, that's kind of my thing. I was like, I do a lot of improv, and you really don't. I try not to do the same thing. Like if you see me 2 nights in a row, you're going to see something that's different.
Yeah, and that's cool. For sure.
But I totally understand what you're saying there, and this has been an ongoing thing for years. I mean, all the the local radio people are talking about, you should play out of town more. Right. I do want to ask you before we wrap it up though, how are you feeling about the whole 12 bands thing and the light that's been shined on the charity with Joe and everything? Because I know it was your brainchild, right?
Yeah, it was in the beginning, and that's a whole nother, 2 hours that we could talk about it, I guess, but it just kind of, I feel okay, with my decision to leave it when I left it, because I just didn't want it to get to where, we were going to make money off of it.
Yeah.
That's my whole thing, I just didn't feel right doing that and stuff, and so, people can judge however they want to judge it and stuff, and if they want to support it, they can. It's cool, and all that. It just changed from when I kind of started doing it. It was for the local bands at the end of the year to get together and play at the Imperial Theater.
Right.
And to me, it was like the Imperial Theater was not being used, and there was really no way a local band could play the Imperial.
Absolutely not.
But by doing at Christmas concert with 12 bands, it would all together could bring out a crowd,
and that makes sense.
And it was fun for the community. I thought it was fun for the bands.
It kind of ticked me off because we played the second annual. Happy Bones did, and then whenever the corporate charity took over, pretty much they started back from year 1.
Right.
So I was like, okay, so I never existed. This is bullshit, But man, we contributed a song to the disc, and I'm okay with charity, but I didn't realize that we have more charities per capita than almost any city in the country, and that's kind of weird.
Yeah. Those are interesting facts. I thought,
And then I didn't realize how much money was being used and coming in and all that stuff. And whenever all that stuff became transparent, I was like, that's kind of, I don't know, it seems a little excessive to me. But, an opinion is just that, an opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see where the idea for the charity being local, in our community and helping people that are hurt here, that makes more sense to me than trying to reach out, to big cancer research funds and all that stuff,
Right.
But I mean, I agree with you too, because at the time, you're right. Imperial wasn't being used, and that's such a beautiful venue.
Oh yeah, I mean, for sure.
And thank goodness they're finally it's alive again.
It gets used more. I think it could be used even more. Really,
absolutely.
And stuff. There should be more shows there. I think.
I saw the Bare Bones show there. The what's his name? The Canadian dude. I need somebody.
Brian Adams.
Yeah. Everybody needs somebody. I love his voice.
Hey, and they said it was a sold out show,
dude.
Right?
It was crazy good.
Yeah.
There were 2 seats down front that were empty, and about 20 minutes into the set, he was like, raise your hands once to come down here and fill up these 2, right?
That's awesome. Yeah.
And these 2 older folks, he was like, come on down. And these 2 older people come down and sat, and it turned out that was their anniversary.
Oh, wow. That's
and
really
they
nice.
met each other listening to Brian Adams. And I was like, okay, that's kind of cool.
Summer of '69.
Right? Yeah, right? And so I was like, that's awesome. And, awesome. And I'm a vocal snob, man. So, that's what I want. I want a really good vocalist.
Yeah. And he's got a unique voice, kind of rough, but
yeah,
he does.
Who I thought was underestimated too was John Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band.
Yeah.
You remember the Eddie and the Cruisers?
Yeah.
Like, whatever happened? Like, his voice was amazing.
Yeah.
Like, and some of those songs were
that's kind of like Eddie and the Cruisers. What happened to Eddie?
Yeah, right.
What happened to John Cafferty?
Yeah. Where's John Cafferty?
Dang. Yeah, that movie wasn't so good. I remember watching that, but that song was catchy. I remember that he had that. Yeah.
Well, for me, it was awesome because I was so young. But if I look back at it now, I'm like, the only thing that's good is the soundtrack. This is bullshit. But I'll tell you my favorite. How about this? Top 5 favorite movies of all times.
Movies of all time.
Yeah.
Wow. Top 5 films. I like a lot of film. I like a lot of movies. Godfather. I can watch The Godfather. Over it comes on every time it comes on, I see it and stuff, and I like just the actors and acting in that story. It's just it's Ray jumped up the top of my list when Ray came out, and I'm not that big of a fan of what's the guy that played Jamie Foxx.
I'm not really that big of a fan.
He did good with that.
I like when he was in Living Color, the skit stuff, but all of his other movies suck pretty much, as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
But Ray, holy shit! I'll watch that movie over and over again. I love Pulp Fiction too, Quentin Tarantino.
Pulp's up, that's a good film. Annie Hall. I'm a big,
Annie Hall.
I like Woody Allen, and I like Annie Hall. I think that's one of my favorite films of all time.
That's cool.
I like some foreign films a lot. Cinema Paradiso is one of my favorite films. Wings of Desire is a German film with Wim Wenders.
And that might be part of the traveling thing. If you're exposed to a lot of different stuff, then you tend to you find those favorite things. Like I'm really big into Edith Piaf. The French singer, and it's just the way that the recordings sound. For some reason, it instantly puts you in a certain type of mood, and you feel like and that's what Manuel's Bread Cafe over in North Augusta. Like sometimes I'll sit over there and I'll be like, "Y'all have any Edith Piaf?" Because I feel like I'm liking a little French, because it has that feel, and it's a French cafe. Cool. So
Wizard of Oz.
Wizard of Oz.
And then I watched it 100 times when Maya was small, and that was one of the first movies.
And you've done the Dark Side of the Moon thing with it, right?
Yeah, for sure.
It that's kind of
interesting.
Yeah. Did you ever see? Now I swear that I got a hold of original cut where the dwarf hangs himself in the background. Have you ever seen that?
Oh no, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, it's like an
accident that happened or something.
No, one of the guys, apparently one of the set guys was behind a portal, and it was made out of paper of some sort, and it was blue, and he was on top of he was on a ladder, and he jumps during that scene when they're walking down the yellow brick road, and I think they just met the Tin Man. Back in the background of the forest, you can see him jump off the thing and hang himself, and he kind of rips the background a little bit.
Oh wow!
When he hangs,
that's crazy.
It's crazy. And then how about the 3 Men and the Baby thing? Did you ever look at that and see the ghost behind the door? See, I'm thinking we're in the Matrix, man, because you can't find that stuff anymore. But I swear I saw it. I swear.
That was Casper, the friendly ghost.
It was something. Well, everybody, you got to go downtown. Check out Coco's venue, Sky City, also the Soul Bar. Go to Nacho Mama's. Go to the Blue Sky. You know, we got to keep downtown hopping, and we're going to continue to do this show. It's going to be an every week thing. I really appreciate you coming out, Coco, and doing this.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for inviting me. It was my pleasure.
Yeah, and, it was awesome talking to you.
Anytime you want me to come down, and thank you to Morgan for having
Morgan's the man.
Kick-ass facility here in downtown also.
Yeah, I got to give a shout out to Greenlight. Y'all, you can get in touch with the SoulCast at the SoulCast at mail.com, not Gmail, at mail.com. And you can send me suggestions for guests that you'd like for me to talk to, you know. And then also there's our Facebook page is the SoulCast. So go to the Facebook page, like it, listen to the show, subscribe on YouTube. And I guess we'll see you next week.
Yep.
We're going to hit the outro music.
Thanks again. And see you downtown.
Yep. See you downtown. Respect downtown.
Yeah. Keep it funky.
Warning. You will never be the same because you were just listening to the SoulCast with Woody Wood. We'll see you next week.